Hey everyone, Meg Fife here. I had a chance today to host a workshop with the one and only Lone Star Unicorn. You can find her on Instagram. She really is a unicorn, you guys. This woman closed 52 deals her first year in a new geographic market. So think about you as a successful real estate agent up and moving to a totally new city where you don't really know anybody, maybe you know a few folks, and you start working as a licensed agent and you have such focus and skill that you're able to close 52 deals your first year. I'm just saying that is pretty unicorn like. And thankfully, she is now one of my mentors, one of my partners, one of the people that I get to say, hey, how did you do that exactly? Because that allows me to be able to, one, perform better, and two, share with you what the heck she's doing. So, of course, there will be times where I interview her, talk with her, give her, space on this page. And I want to share, as I am coming down from our workshop this afternoon, a few critical things about working with buyers. So you've been reading the news, you've been watching this stuff, maybe your brokers talked about it, maybe they haven't, but beginning to build a value stack for working with buyers has never been more important. With that being said, the ability to differentiate between a motivated buyer and an unmotivated buyer is also going to be more important than ever. So asking the right questions, understanding the process of qualification, not just financial qualification, although that is obviously a huge part of it, but overall qualification. Does this person need time on your calendar right now, right? So one kind of analogy that has been introduced to me since working with elite builders is that of all different kinds of professions, right? And I want you to think about the last time you had some kind of symptom and you needed to go to visit the doctor. Maybe you went to the urgent care doctor, maybe you went to your primary care physician. Either way, you had something going on that just wasn't quite right. And so you made a call and you set an appointment, or maybe you went online and you set an appointment. And they had you fill out a form before you even went in the door, right? Maybe they text you the form, maybe it automatically populated on the website, maybe someone called you and said, hey, I'm about to send you a form, I need you to fill it out before we can see you today. There is always some type of form, right, that gets submitted when you are wanting to go to the doctor. And we fill out the form and then you go to the doctor and then you see a nurse. This person is sometimes like an intake nurse, right? They're the triage kind of person. They're checking on your blood pressure, your temperature, and guess what? They're asking your symptoms. They're asking, what are you feeling? What brought you in today, right? And they're taking notes. You've already filled out a form, by the way, stating why you are going in today, but now you have a human asking, why did you come in today? And so eventually you do get to see the doctor. And I want you to start viewing working with buyers and sellers and clients in this capacity, that you are a professional. One, you have to decide you're a professional. So one of the mantras that B-Side Coaching and Leverage Services and our Build program has is that when you work with B-Side, you are making the choice to move from amateur to pro, that you are no longer just going to kind of haphazardly go about doing business. You are going to do business as professionally and as sharply as possible. And so that in and of itself is a choice that you make, not just one time, but you make it every day that you wake up. You make it every time you pick up the phone. You make it every time you respond to an email. So first and foremost, I want you to choose to be a professional, and I want you to choose to value your time aggressively and intensely, okay? So that means that as the rules change around one, buyer representation agreements must be signed. A client, a consumer, a buyer who's interested in a house must sign a buyer representation agreement in order to go see a property that's listed on the MLS. And that sounds like a fantastic practice, as a profession, as an industry. It sounds like a great idea. I don't know why we have not always been doing that. But that is now a requirement. And so you, as a professional real estate agent, now get to build, if you haven't already, a process and a system that delivers the value and consultation a buyer would need in order to feel ready and confident to sign that representation agreement and put you to work. So that's first and foremost. And then second of all, there is a rule change coming up around commission and compensation and how that works. The one and only thing that is actually changing in reality is that a field called BAC, Buyer Agent Commission, on the MLS will no longer be there. So come here a couple months from now, there will no longer be a buyer agent commission advertised on MLS. Now, there will be buyer agent commissions advertised. All of the listing agents I'm talking to are saying, hey, Meg, I'm still going to be having a conversation with my seller about how important it is to offer some type of commission to a buyer's agent, because we need buyers to come to our house, and buyers are going to need representation. So they're going to have representation, and we may need to compensate them like we always have in order to get them in the door and into a contract and all the way through the contract. So the fact that it's not advertised on MLS doesn't mean it won't be advertised. It may be advertised in other ways. And you will want to have a conversation as a buyer's agent with your buyer about what that means and what it looks like. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer, I know when you hired me, I told you my professional fee was Y. Well, I just want to let you know the 5 homes that we're touring this weekend, 4 out of the 5 cover my professional fee. 1 of them does not. Here's the difference, right? And being able to explain that difference. So I was just really encouraged today, obviously talking with someone like Jessica and learning from her. There are a lot of things that go on in a buyer transaction that sometimes can be energy draining, right? It's why so many agents desire to become listing agents. I preached it as well. I still preach it, that you can take 7, 8, 9, 10, 17, 77 technically sellers at any given time if you have the right back-end support system and be able to serve those sellers. However, you cannot ever work with 77 buyers. That's just not a thing. It just doesn't happen. And there's no realistic way. You would have other people working with those buyers on your team and that kind of thing if that were the case. So I always am behind you being a listing agent, or whoever is watching this, listening to this, you choosing like, I want to focus more on taking listings versus working with buyers. I also want you to know that there's going to be a huge market opportunity for buyers agents to really showcase their skills, to showcase their value. Opening the door is not the most dollar productive or dollar per hour kind of activity that there is in representing buyers. It is the negotiations, it is the offer writing, it is the contract execution, it is the overseeing of a smooth and simple process so that the buyers end up being able to actually purchase the home that they are interested in. So I wanted to share all of that with you. I hope that it was enough and that you learned a little bit about what it means to be a great buyer's agent. Please be on the lookout in the future for more conversation about how to represent buyers really well, and of course, also how to represent sellers really well, and the conversations and skills needed to have in order to maximize their sale and do it in the least amount of time, right? Sellers still want to sell their house for the most amount of money in the least amount of time with the least amount of hassle. So tune in for a conversation about that very soon.